Hello, Deniz. Welcome to the Pitders podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here today. How are you, first of all?
Thank you very much, Michaela. It's my pleasure, to be here. Thank you very much, for having me, today.
Great. Do you want to give us a short introduction of yourself and what you have been doing? I think that your experience is quite long, so we can take a little bit of time here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And as I said, I'm a big fan of you and your podcast, so that's
Thank
why,
you.
amazing pleasure. My background is banking. I work for, different banks. I started my career in Istanbul,
Mhm,
Turkey, in a local bank, one of the largest bank. And then I joined HSBC.
mhm,
And for HSBC, I work, in a few countries. After that, um, QMB and Garanti BBVA. Of course, it was
mhm,
a different school for me. I worked for BBVA, Garanti BBVA, actually, more than 10 years. Um, Michele, it was a great school. I mean, it
mhm,
was amazing. And what I had a chance, at that time, I'm talking about, 2012, right? We launched the first digital bank in Turkey.
mhm.
And of course, we will discuss, all these trends and everything, digital banks, I'm sure today, but 2012 and all the, usual suspects, we're
Yep,
not there yet, right?
that was
And,
pretty early, I would say.
yeah, and we try it, and we learn a lot. Why? Because at that time, BBVA acquired Simple
Mhm,
Bank. It was one of the first, in the US.
Yep.
So we learn a lot. We try to create something similar, for a different segment. And then after Garanti BBVA, I joined Standard Chartered.
Mhm,
Um, People in Europe, they don't know, that much, but Standard Chartered is a British bank, but also, operates mainly in Asia, Africa, Middle
mhm,
East.
Yep.
People, they know Standard Chartered. Why? Because they are the sponsor of, Liverpool. So people, especially, related, football with football, people they know, Standard Chartered. I was a global head there, covering 32 different markets,
Mhm,
and I had a chance, to build a bank. Just after that, 2018, I moved to Hong Kong, and I
mhm,
started to build a bank, from scratch. I was like, a founder, CEO, employee zero, let's say, instead of saying, founder. Um, it was very painful, but at the
mhm,
same time, amazing journey, right? Being in Hong Kong and trying to understand, what's going on. And um, eh, it's the building a bank, always it was very difficult, earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
today, a bit easier, in terms of technology, product, this kind of stuff, but um, it was tough, right?
Mhm,
And we decided, at that time, and the journey, started, a bit differently because um, Standard Chartered, backed us, big time. But at the same time, we convinced, Standard Chartered, to build that bank, in a different way.
mhm,
Um, I remember there was a board meeting, and people, they asked me, Deniz, what are you going to do? Are you going to, build a digital bank, for a
mhm,
virtual digital, whatever, there were different, terminologies,
mhm.
at that time. And I said, no. And believe me, all the, board members, they were shocked.
They've
And
been shocked. Yeah.
why are you here then? And then, I said, you know what, let me explain, one thing to you. The first thing is, do we need a digital bank or not? Let's explore, with the methodology. And that was first thing, I asked. In Hong Kong, Sunchart, they make really, really, good money, right? It's
Mhm,
one of the largest bank, very profitable. Every year, more than $2 billion. Amazing, right? Open
Yep.
public data. And I asked them, can we defend ourselves with our existing operating model from non-traditional players? That was my
Mhm,
first question. And the second question was, can we attack to this market or any other markets
mhm,
with the current existing operating model? And then, I said, if you are saying no, one of this, we have a problem, or we will
mhm.
have a problem soon.
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, at that time, of course, the Hong Kong market, extremely traditional. I'm talking about
Mhm,
2018, right? Almost 10 years ago. Very traditional. And they said, okay, then, what is the solution? I said, let's build the future operating model of, Standard Chartered, and digital, whatever technology will be part of it.
Hmm.
And this future operating model could become the operating model of, different things, different jurisdictions.
Yep.
We can use these modules, parts, whatever, right? Or, different, attack models. Sometimes, you have to defend yourself. It's
Yep.
the life is not only about, attacking somewhere, right?
So
Um,
just instead of like just building a digital bank just for the sake of it, you actually put in discussion the entire business model of the bank at the
exactly,
present point in
exactly.
time.
And everybody love it, right?
Hmm.
Everybody said, okay, this is a better approach.
Mhm.
Exactly, because
Let's do it.
I mean, and they said literally, by the way, I shared this, a couple of times, and thanks to them, that still, the group CEO, Bill Winters,
Mhm.
and even at that day, because, at that meeting, I went there and in front of them, I was planning to ask $2 million, seed money.
Mm.
And, and they asked me in that meeting, without any, ask, how much do you need, to build this future operating model?
Mm.
And I said, I don't know right now, but let me come back, revert, right? And they ask again, tell us. And I said a number. And he said, and the all the people around him, they said, okay, approved. Believe me,
Like on the
normally
spot, it's
in,
very
in,
rare.
in, in a big bank, it is impossible. You should,
Yeah,
with this kind of
I know
policies,
that.
5 times, 10 times. But they said okay, and I moved to Hong Kong. So
Mm.
imagine, so that was the vision and the 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 ambition, in the bank, to build, something totally different.
Mm.
That's why I'm explaining or sharing, the story. It's a very important story for me.
I can understand.
Why? Because we will talk about the fintech side, but also for the corporates, this is extremely important. As long as you explain the things in a better way,
Hmm. Yep.
then you can find different solutions or different ways to proceed faster,
Yeah.
different. And then we started to build it, extremely, from scratch, technology, products, services, license. Oh my God. It was my second MBA.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's
it-
always a nightmare, that part.
Obtaining a license in Hong Kong, I learned a lot. I
Mm.
visited, regulated, HKMA, many times, FCA, because there was a grant
Mm.
parenting coming from London. So I visited them, many times, to get the license. We obtained the license in a year,
Oh,
but
that's not
during
bad actually. Given the
it's not
time frame that you usually have in Europe, it's not bad.
exactly, and during that period, of course, people started to knock my door. Hey, Deniz, you guys are building something,
Mhm.
and we want to be part of it. And of course, what kind of partnership? Because in the McKenna, it's very interesting. There's a paper. I'm still, at my home.
Mhm.
That on the paper, I wrote, my vision to a paper before, I started this journey. And there was, one item. I think that there were, 10 items, and one of them was how can I find
Mm.
a JV partners from these industries like transportation, whatever. There were
Mhm.
some other stuff there. And suddenly I realized that, people, they want to, invest and build this kind of a stuff, together with us.
Yep.
That was I think, the best DD in my life, selecting, my JV partners,
Mm.
through 11 different, holdings, family offices, or, different, companies. What happened, after a proper DD, we picked, two JV partners.
Mm.
One was actually, PCCW Hong Kong Telecom.
Mm. Okay.
PCCW is a big company, with media, telco, everything, right? They today, I think, they send 4 million invoices, every month, the out of 7 million population of Hong Kong, which was
Wow.
very important, for us, to execute, with them. And the second one was Trip.com. Trip.com is the Chinese booking.com. They're the owner of also, Skyscanner. They came to us, and it was very strategic, for us, to do that. Why? Because
Mhm.
Hong Kong is, 7 million, very interesting city, but also, just next to the Hong Kong, there are three cities which we call it the south side of the China.
Mhm.
Um, there are three cities, with 75 million population, right? Then, you have to, create, that kind of a strategy, that you can port, different stuff. And at that point, of course, a big e-commerce player, we decided, could be a great, joint
A
venture,
great
for
partner, of course. Yeah.
yeah. And we got, I'm talking about, 819.
Mhm.
Um, we actually, we sold 34.9% of the company from the valuation of, $210 million,
Wow.
without any customer. We had, zero customer before, launching it, to our JV partners. It was a
Wow.
great, thing. But money aside, right? So money is money, right? Most
Yep.
of the time, if you are doing, something smart, it's easy to find money. But the most important thing is, I think, we found, great partners.
Yeah.
Why?
That's
Because
not always easy, I would say.
not easy, not
Mm.
easy. And honestly speaking, before Mox, I also, try, different partnerships, with telcos. And most of the time, the biggest discussion was, between telcos and the banks, who's going to be the owner of the customer. It's always
Mm.
like that, right? But in
Yeah.
in 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 our case, what happened? We are all on the same ship.
Mhm.
Ownership. There's a bank here. You are also the owner. Thank you very much. And how can we create, a service-led bank instead of a product-led bank through this, partnership?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you can always, go with the products. There are products outside. I mean, everybody has, products. Even today,
Yep.
in Wamo, we will discuss, later. Well, we have products. There are better products, outside. But it's not only about, product. If you want to differentiate, or if you want to, compete, with the big ones, then you have to, create this service layer, which which we call it
Mhm.
right now a operating, service layer, which is the most
Mhm.
important thing. Anyhow, so we
Yeah.
built the bank. It was very interesting time for me working,
Challenging, I
a
would
lot of.
say.
We launched the bank. I was the after launching the bank. I continued to the CEO, and then after a while, I stepped down. Um, but during, that period, Mox, reached, immediately, 300, 400, customers. I
Mhm.
know, it sounds like, small, but if you are talking about, 6 million, banking population,
It's
um,
actually a pretty good
bankable
percentage.
population, which
Yeah.
means, almost 10% of the, bankable
Yeah.
population in a very quick time. Um, we started, credit as well. We didn't
Mhm.
start like a normal, prepaid, debit card, journey.
Mhm.
And it was very fun. Um, and we copied actually, we copied and actually, ported the the same infra, tech stack, some of the products, to Singapore. And after
Mhm.
that, we launched, Trust Bank, in Singapore with the same model, with the same JV approach. And what happened, in Singapore, um, Fair Prices, one of the largest, supermarket chain, they
Yep.
decided to, become the JV partner of Trust Bank. So right now, Mox Bank is in the first 10, in Hong Kong amongst, I don't know, 62, retail banks. Trust Bank is, in terms of, customer onboarded, customer base, is the fifth, sixth largest bank in Singapore. So
Wow.
imagine, so
Pretty good
these are,
result, I would say.
yeah, very important stuff, and they're all profitable. Profitable means, they became profitable, after a while, but, they
That's
became.
even
And
that's even more rare than the rest. I mean, having a profitable neobank right now, it's kind of pretty hard. It's not that easy. It's actually a very good result.
yeah, I mean, thanks to the teams, there right now.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, After that, so I decided, to invest, the fintech industry,
Mhm.
um, through, two different funds. One is in London, the other one was in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
We decided, deploy, some money, but focusing on financial services.
But
Look at
as a company or for you directly? You set it up directly or
Yeah,
okay.
I set it up. I was in Abu Dhabi. I was the funding partner.
Mm.
In the UK, we decided to do that with a small money, but through a fund. I'm talking about a fund structure. Um,
Mhm.
my concentration is always financial services because Michele, I think this is kind of a passion for me that I want change
Mhm.
some of the things and building future banks. I mean, that it will change and evolve, right? And that's the most important thing. And I want create this kind of stuff and building thing, being part of the builds are extremely important for me. Um, we
Mhm.
invested, in general. I created a portfolio of 24 fintechs, financial services from
Mm.
different jurisdictions. And Wamo was one of them. And
Yeah, because we
Wamo was very
basically got in touch about Wemo mainly, and I thought it was very recently and very interesting the kind of role that you had with Wemo. But before going into that direction, I have a curiosity. So, given the fact that you invested across different countries, different eras, and everything else, uh, where is, let's say, the place or jurisdiction where it's kind of easier to invest in fintech, because you've been seeing a lot of them, no? So where is easier to actually invest in fintech?
Um, before investing in fintech, I think you should look at we look at a couple of different things. The
Mhm.
first of all, uh, what is the size of the markets, right?
Mm.
Depending on which vertical are you in. Because you have to be super careful. Some of the markets you can see them. Oh my God, look at this. There's tons of money in the market, but you have to understand what is the money
Mhm.
and what is the market, right? I mean, there are some markets, you can find the capital much easier,
Mhm.
but maybe in that market, there's not enough deep deepening, that you can find enough customers and create something out of it.
Mm.
There are some other markets, huge markets, but unfortunately, they come with some risks, and
Yep.
capital doesn't want to follow these markets, right? Because of
Yep.
risk levels, or I mean thesis. I mean sometimes
Mhm.
it, right? In Europe, in Italy, some of the funds, they just want focus on
Yep.
Europe. It's not about the risk base. So that's why back to your question, the easiest for me, especially Southeast Asia, um, and Middle East, easier right now, to invest. If I'm going to talk, with my investment, head, um, uh, Europe a bit more. I mean, pickier, not easier.
Mhm.
But I believe that Europe a huge potential right now, to come back,
Mm.
because of different dynamics. But I think in Europe, so we have to understand, where are the potentials and push it forward, with from this different perspectives, right? So
Yeah.
regulatory regimes, I mean policies, I mean I mean enough, passporting, opportunities, a different fragmented, Europe. Um,
Yeah.
US, I didn't mention it, Michele, but US is a different animal. I mean, US,
Yeah.
it comes,
It's kind of a
capital,
different
but
world, I would say.
yeah, same time, with the markets. So it's a
Yeah.
different game. But if you want to, succeed, in the US, you have to understand, the real fragmentation of US as well.
Mhm.
And we saw this. We have been seeing these stories, right?
Yep.
Successful, fintech in different jurisdictions going to US, unfortunate. I mean,
Yeah. There's also a recent example about that. Like, for example, Monzo went in the US, and they actually came out a couple of weeks ago because they didn't see enough traction in the market, and because the market was actually pretty different from whatever they were doing at the time. So it's actually a very good point. And how did you end up at Wamo in the end? So how did you met Wamo team first of all?
Sure. Before Wamo, I just wanted to add
Mhm.
one more thing for your previous question, right? Sometimes Monzo, it's a great product, right?
It's a great
And
product. I totally agree. Yeah.
they're doing great in the UK. And now they're in Spain, and they will be
Yep.
most probably they will be in some other countries in Europe.
Mhm.
Um, the expansion strategies sometimes you need to understand that it's not like hey, let's go to the largest market, or let's go to this market. There
Mhm.
are some visible and invisible corridors that you need to identify and connect the corridors and the commerce
Mhm.
between them. Then you can become something totally different. For example, Michele, look at Europe. We call it Southern Line. Southern Line, what
Mhm.
is that? Portugal,
Yep.
Spain, Italy, Croatia, Greece. In Europe and Malta, you can see tons of similarities coming from the customers. Also a lot of trade and commerce between these corridors. How are
Mhm.
you going to position yourself when you think about your expansion strategy?
Yeah.
I think Monzo is on the right track right now.
Yeah.
um your question about Wamo, yeah, so I was an investor first, and because I wanted to do something in SME space.
Mm.
And uh, we have a founder, Yankı. He's a great founder actually, and a technical co-founder as well. Mili, they started together,
Mhm.
and they have been doing great. They had some difficult times. As an investor co-pilot, I was with them day to
Mm.
day, to help a lot, because in 2023, something, because of a dependency, something bad happened to Wamo, and
Mm.
but they came back again immediately, and they learn a lot. And at that time, we decided, hey, you know what, we shouldn't do this with someone else's license. Let's get our license. And we have,
Mm.
at that point, we decided to apply the license, and we obtained the license from Finland, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So almost licensed from Finland, passporting entire Europe, cut across. um but sometimes bad things teach you some interesting stuff. But there's an amazing team. There was an amazing team here, and even today, they are growing. And last year, what we discussed, hey, we are growing, and we have to do something else. And at that point, I joined early this year. Now I joined Wamo as a group CEO and
Mm.
chair of the board. And my right now, I mean, day to day, try to work and help the team, and expand as much as possible. Um, Numbers are great. You mentioned about the Series A. Well, we can talk about it, but yeah, I mean,
Mm.
yeah, Series A,
But yeah,
10 million. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
it's. I think that first of all, I think that it makes a lot of sense for someone like you to actually make the next step and actually jump from investor to CIO, because you're bringing a lot of experience to the table. So makes a lot of sense. Before jumping to the Series A, I was wondering about your numbers, because you've been mentioning the numbers are great. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I mean, how many customers, for example, do you have right now?
Sure. We got more than 20,000 right now in Europe.
That's very
Um,
good.
and half of it, in Italy, and growing
Nice.
super fast, which means, every month on month, the double digits, growth,
Mm.
on customer base, also on the revenue,
Mm.
which is, quite rare, right? So
Yeah.
double digit, growth month on month, it's not easy, sometimes not to do. Um, uh, the most what we are targeting right now, actually, in 2027, the company, will hit 50 million, highly likely a bit more than 50 million euro ARR. It's not
Nice.
it's not a small one. Wamo, will become a break even in Q3, which
Mm.
is also important. Now, we don't have the full product set yet, But I mean, of course, there will be some announcement, so especially on the credit loans, different kind of loan products are coming.
Mhm.
Again, I don't like talking about product, but these are some common sense
Yeah,
things we will bring. And in this industry, um, credit is the most difficult one, because the
yeah.
rest you can give it, you can serve it to your customers this way or that way. But credit comes with a lot of experience and burns and everything,
Yeah.
right? The burn hand is extremely important, coming from experience.
Mm. Yeah, I do believe that credit is one of the hardest products that you can actually do in this industry, because it puts together a lot of different things. You need to have a good product, you need to have the license, you need to have the capital, and in the end, you need to handle a lot of very difficult situations, when coming to, collection and all of those kind of things. And I was wondering about the 10,000 customers in Italy. That is actually a very good number, if you think about it. I mean, even if it's not huge overall for the Italian
Yeah.
market itself, is actually pretty good, because we do have a lot of SMEs that are very traditional, that usually don't use neobanks or digital banks. So actually being able to land that number is pretty impressive. I was wondering about the kind of let's say differences from what you saw, for example, in the Italian market compared to the rest of Europe right now. So you said part of that customer base is outside of Italy. So how do you see the kind of differences there?
Yeah, I mean, um, how I see the Italy, it's a bit different. As you said, 10,000, is it big? No. But honestly speaking, we just started. I
Hmm.
mean, you know what? A year ago, we got, only, 1,500 customers, in Italy. And right now, 10,000. And highly like, end of this year, we will have, 20,000,
Yeah.
clients in only in Italy,
Hmm.
only in Italy. So this is the target. We have customers, from different areas, as you know, Michele. North, mid, south. I mean,
Hmm.
Italy is also fragmented, and
Yeah.
they come with different needs, right? Now, this on the south, mostly, we see, micro. Why?
Hmm.
Because, they need, payment solutions, simple, bank account, business account, etc. When you go up to Rome and above, right? Then, the customer segment and the customer clusters,
Hmm.
change a lot. Why? Because, they want, more sophisticated, services from you, which
Hmm.
means, invoices, credit, loan, um, more, credibility, coming, so, they are looking for, post credit, etc., etc. It's a bit, different, fragmented, country, is, much better than me.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time, in Italy.
Yeah.
We just opened our, representative office in Bologna,
Mm.
which is a beautiful city, beautiful,
Totally agree.
uh, yeah, region. Um, and we will focus more. We have a team of 16 people, only, speaking, Italian.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's a small fintech, not bad actually. We try to do, that human touch as well in Italian, because if, if you don't speak Italian in Italy, it's a bit
Yeah,
difficult.
it's kind of hard.
Yeah. So, not only because of the language, there are
Mm.
some other, patterns, that you need, collect, see, observe, monitor, and revert. So this is why, such an important, place, for us. And
Mhm.
I think, we can share this. Everybody, sees that, when you look at, competition, there are some big players, international. There are some local players,
Yeah.
names are not important. By the way, I have a lot of, respect, for those companies, right? Some
Yeah.
of them, they did, the heavy lifting, for us
Yes.
to set the vertical.
Yeah.
Now it's easier, for, new players,
Mm.
to do,
They
some
opened the
other.
way basically, like in the
Exactly.
past for companies like yours and others to actually serve Italian customers.
Exactly, exactly. But Italy is one part. The second part, the second focus region is Nordics, right? Finland,
Mm.
of course, we are growing, but Sweden, Norway, Denmark,
Mm.
there are tons of pain points that you can solve. And the good part is traditional banks, this way or that way, the SME segment, right? For the traditional banks, they are not the priority.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, for the companies, but fortunate, for us, that we can, serve better. We can bring, the better services. And one thing, right? There was a first wave. I'm talking about, 13, 14 years ago. The first digital players, they came and they focus on UX.
Mhm.
Why? Because, the UX and processes, it was broken,
Yeah.
right? Even today, there are some broken parts, but
Mhm.
even when they, came up, with some better UX, better processes, they change a lot. And then, second wave came, product sets, and they brought, new products. But the
Mm.
need, the third wave is a bit different. Problem is not UX anymore,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we can do the UX, together, with clothes together. I'm sure, we
Yeah.
can create another bank, with
Anyone now can do that.
exactly, so the real problem is it's fragmentation.
Mm.
And definition of fragmentation here is SMEs are running their financials with or businesses across 3-4 different banks and 10 different not really connected tools.
Mhm.
Is this the right way to run your business, Michele? I'm sure if you have a company, you can understand what I'm saying,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
of
So
course.
it's very difficult. I'm using this tool, that tool, and they say, yeah, you can connect it, but are they really connected
Mhm.
to run your business? Or they are connected like, hey, API connection, and you can see here, you can see there. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about creating an operational layer which become invisible, but
Mm.
at the same time, using their in turns their financial and behavioral data into decisions. I
Mm.
know it sounds like, hey, Deniz, are you talking about AI? I'm not talking about AI. I'm talking about the mentality. I'm talking about an approach here. And that fragmentation, there is no one player. There's a couple of good players, by the way. Mika,
Mhm.
they do good, right? They
Yeah.
do good. They have this kind of approach. But I believe, especially in Europe, there's a need of more,
Mhm.
to do this. Because when we discuss, in the with the in the VC environment, right? Oh, Deniz, SMEs, it's very crowded. Is it really? Michele,
Mm.
just last year, only in Italy, the new company setup number was 400,000.
Mhm.
400,000 only in Italy. You have 370,000 of them or more, a bit more, micro businesses.
Mhm.
But fine, new setup. So
Yeah.
so imagine the repository or the largeness of the markets.
Yeah.
And how do they how do they manage it? Banks accounts, but I'm not talking about it, right? Now giving a
Mhm.
bank account, business account possible, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about something bigger. So this is why they are looking for more something totally different, and how can we make it? And this is
Mm.
not about hey, I'm going to put accounting invoice from no, I'm talking about creating an operating layer, and this is going
Yeah,
to be
that is
some
kind of different to just giving them feature. But I totally agree. I was recently speaking also with a couple of good founders from the Nordic, like founder of Lunar. But there are also a couple of
yeah, I
good
worked
examples. For example,
at a great
yeah,
platform.
it's a great entrepreneur, great CIO. But there are also a couple of good examples in Italy, like for example with Tot, that is an SMEs
Yeah,
bank that is very very interesting. So you see the difference between just providing them a product, providing them a service, so providing them a bank account in the end, and actually providing a layer where they can actually, have everything that they need to do. And that is very, very different, in my opinion. And that's exactly what you're describing. So there are companies that are actually providing a layer there.
yeah. I mean, and there will be more, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm seeing a big potential for Europe.
Mm.
um SMEs, they're also, the if you ask me, Dennis, what are the real pain points, right? I mean, why are you doing this job, right? I mean, what is it? I mean, they are suffering. Why? Because most of the traditional financial services, um, they're also, struggling, to define this segment because Michele, you have a flower shop, just next to the let's say, this street, and I have a construction shop, on the other hand, the
Yep.
on the other side of the street. A traditional segmentation, a traditional bank, they look at it like you are an SME, also I'm an SME. Amazing, but this is our needs are totally different. Our suppliers are different. You pay your invoices in 47 days. By the way, it's the average, in Europe. But
Yep.
I do pay, in 90 days, right? Or vice versa. I obtain the receivables, differently, right? Totally different needs, right?
Yeah.
Totally different needs. This is why we have to look at the things not with the traditional segmentation. What we are doing in Wamo, we are doing a proper clustering and trying to understand the clusters, with their needs. And I think it's a great segue, to talk about a bit AI. Why? Because AI is not only, hey, I'm going to be, AI, this and that. I don't want to be AI decorated, company. I
That's a
want,
very good
create.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we can become, AI decorated tomorrow. Easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I want to, what we are doing right now, it's going to be AI native, which means, I know AI native, everybody talks about it, like a interesting word, but terminology, but AI native means to me, a bit different. How can I use AI to create, hyper personalized solution with your financial and behavioral data to understand your cluster and understand your business better than you, Michele. And when you open your flower shop, on Monday morning, I have to know how you run this business better than you to serve you. Otherwise, hey, you know what? This is your product. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What do you need? Account, send money, receive money, payments, and
And that's
sometimes
it. Yeah.
credit. Shouldn't be like this. If I can understand your business better than you at flower shops, then we can create the best service or whatever that layer will be. Then that will be the best. This is what Wamo is trying right now. And end of this year, we will see all these things as a different layer. I mean, technology, product, etc. But there will be a different layer that we will come hyper personalized, which means Michele has flower shop. This is a special Wamo for you, Michele. And my construction shop, I have my Wamo. Like when I open my mobile, I know what's going on here, right? I can
Yeah.
see my dashboard. You have a different one. Same thing. I'm not talking about, hey, I'm going to put some modules and you can customize it. I'm
But
talking
like a
about high.
totally personalized experience under that perspective. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's very interesting.
And SMEs, they deserve this and they don't have it, right? Most of
Mm.
the time, banks, they focus and prioritize, some other segments.
Yeah.
There are some reasons behind it, I mean, of course, the and also, the other mistake, that I see coming, from traditional banks. Michele, it's easy for me, to talk, from, the big banks, perspective. So I'm also, holding, some other board memberships, from traditional banks. Um, they they try to, treat, SMEs with the retail playbook. I mean,
Yeah, that is something that I see all the time, to be honest. And it's not exactly the same. It's in fact totally different.
totally different, and they are not a big companies. They are not big companies, but they are not, individuals.
Yeah.
And what are they? So this
Yeah.
is the biggest, when people, they ask me, what are you solving? I mean, this is a huge thing, that we need to
Yeah.
solve.
Yeah.
Then, we can talk about product. I mean, Michael, we are not going to talk about, products, that much today. But I mean, that's the
Yeah.
reality. Yeah.
No, that's actually very, very true. I was considering also I mean, I was curious mostly about the series A's that you just closed. Given your experience, we have been raising in different countries for different companies all over the place. Uh, how hard it was right now? Because like the kind of capital environment and the kind of venture ecosystem that you find here and now specifically is kind of different from everywhere else. So
Exactly.
I was wondering how hard it was this time.
Um, Money is still there. I mean,
Okay.
this is very important. What I can tell, to the startups, from different, verticals. Money is still there, but it's bit it's pickier. The investors, they're pickier than the previous, right? I mean, they want to, they want to be a bit more careful and slow. Why? Because they want to understand how is the relationship, what's going on, to understand the company. This is happening, and I also seeing very interesting in VCs that they want to watch and monitor to see in I mean previously what was happening. Okay, there's a crash means crash with the founder, crash with the idea, and then done. Right now it's a bit different, but
Mm,
can you find money? Yes, you can. You
mm.
can. We raised 10 million, and to be honest, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So uh, let me, yeah, sorry for that, my computer. um so we found 10 million euro, and even I mean, even today, people, they knocked our doors, saying, hey, you close it, but can we join? I mean,
Mm,
this is happening, from big VCs. And honestly speaking, our lead investor, from Finland, 3TS, a big fund. So we work very closely. They try to understand all the pros and cons of this business, right?
mm,
And super helpful. The managing fund partner there. Um, can you find money today? Yes,
mm,
absolutely yes. You just need to explain the right things. Um, but that shouldn't be like what they, hey, this is the hype. Instead of creating a hype, you have to give the real numbers, real
mm.
growth. And honestly speaking, uh, we always invest to the funders.
Yeah, in the end, yes. And I was wondering, do you think that the reason why you have people like right now coming and asking, "Hey, can we join your round, even if it's closed or even if it's already filled out?" It is because there is a lack of ideas out there, or a lack of good companies out there, or it is because they have a lot of dry powder that they need to invest.
Depending on your thesis, but it's a bit
Mm,
difficult, to find. Early stage, easy to find,
mm,
right?
yeah.
But somewhere between startup to scale up, it's not that easy to find.
Mm,
That is why people they try to find proper early scale up, or some advanced, or some matured start scale ups as much as possible. Um, there are tons of startup investors outside, starting from angels to to up. But honestly speaking, I think the appetite is more with the more mature companies.
mm. Hmm. Maybe taking a little bit your investor hat. What would be something that you would like to invest right now in this field, in this market, like right now? So something
Yeah,
that, let's say, catch your attention at the moment.
obviously SMEs, right?
Obviously,
First,
except from SMEs banking, that was too easy. I mean,
I'm investing, something bigger than my money, right now, to
yeah.
SMEs. The second one is I'm still seeing a big potential on the wealth.
Mm,
So the wealth business. I'm not talking about Robin Hood lookalikes. I'm talking about proper wealth platforms, for not only long tail. I'm talking about up to family offices. I'm not seeing. Um, uh, I believe there's a need of borderless solution. What
mhm,
is the meaning of borderless? let's say you have assets or investments in different areas like New York, London, Abu Dhabi, Hong Kong, Singapore. How are you going to manage it? How many platforms?
Yeah.
Can you aggregate them? Can you, I mean, is aggregation enough or not? Can
Hmm.
you manage differently? I mean, these are very important things, and honestly speaking, I also want need this kind of stuff, but I'm seeing a really interesting wealth opportunity if someone can fix this. That's the first one. The second one is we have actually we saw, I mean, payment transformation, digital bank retail,
Yeah.
mainly SME. Yes, we are seeing right now. And what about the corporate and global transaction banking?
Hmm.
Um, I'm just trying to explain, like with the common terminologies. That global transaction banking. So imagine we got a multinational company
Hmm.
operating in 16 different countries: Europe, Middle East, and South Asia.
Mhm.
How many banks do we need to manage our transactions? I'm not only talking about simple settlements or payments to manage our accounts. How many?
Yeah.
Minimum five, six.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minimum
Yeah.
five, six.
And probably is not
And
enough. Given out of
not
experience,
enough.
probably is not enough.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, is there any way, we can, fix this, in a different way? Again, I'm not talking about the products, so
Hmm.
stable coins, can you do, settlements, in a different way? 100%.
Hmm.
Can you, create, a different, asset management, style, with the new technologies? Possible, highly likely, yes. But at the same time, I'm not seeing, who someone solving, this problem right now. And
Hmm.
I believe in the next 6 to 12 months, we will start to see this kind of platforms or digital banks trying to solve the this area big time.
Hmm.
And I will happy to invest on them.
That's a
And
good point for everyone out there listening and trying to launch it.
and the last part is, of course, it's a cliche. It sounds cliche,
Mhm.
but um I believe the embedded finance just started.
Mm.
I mean, I believe there will be a bigger thing. There will be bigger things in embedded banking. Even for ourselves, in Wamo, you will see this year more embedded solutions as well. To distribute ourselves
Mhm.
to more than 100,000 companies through Europe. Um, but at the same time, I believe only 5% of embedded finish yet, but there will be more. And I'm seeing also, some, smart things, around, Europe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, talk about, Europe, mainly, but
Mhm.
there are different jurisdictions, different
Yeah, of
things.
course, of course. No, that's. I actually agree with both of your points. We do see a lot of traction for abundant finance at the moment, and I will be very, very curious to see, a real infrastructure for those corporate payments. So that would be very interesting. So maybe last question from my side. This is something that I usually ask everyone that is coming in the show. Uh, what would be an advice that you will give to someone that is starting the career right now or founding their company right now in the fintech market, given all of everything that you've done basically and the kind of different experiences and different companies and careers that you had? So what would be an advice for them?
Mm, I think the most fundamental thing, in this life, understanding, the commerce.
Mm.
Uh, I'm not going to push anyone to AI. Hey, you should learn how to use AI. No, I mean, I'm sure that will be that will become something given, right?
Hmm.
Uh, but at the same time, if you can understand the commerce properly, whatever you want to do, then you will find something interesting and big opportunity for yourself anytime in this world, right? In any
Mhm.
time. And well, you see it, right? People, especially for the youngsters, people, they want to start this kind of stuff tomorrow. There's a people, they think, oh, we do not need to hire juniors anymore. um I agree and disagree, with
Mhm.
this. Why? Because I mean, any new techs, before created, I mean, they create, new jobs, right?
Mhm.
We have been seeing this, and now AI, there will be, some misplacements, of
Yeah.
course, of course, but it will come, and it will create, more opportunities, for everyone,
Mhm.
everyone. And I'm not, I'm not, pessimistic, on this one. As long as, you know how to change yourself, there won't be any problem. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the most important thing. Now I have a son, 15 years old right now. We talk about him, basketball and everything. And
Mm.
he's also, changing, his mind, every day, right? No, that
Yeah.
should be the
It's normal.
mentality.
Yeah.
Um, the the other stuff, I want to say, as a last word, Michele, um, people, you ask me, I also, share, some numbers. We can talk about numbers, but my biggest ambition is, yeah, I mean, 100,000 is, or this much money, break evens, etc. These are very important, but don't forget, so the most important thing is, if we can hear from our customers, I run
Mhm.
on Wamo instead. I run my business, with these banks, that these tools,
Mhm.
etc. That will be the time that we can talk about, some sort of a success, and then money will follow.
Nice. It's a very good point. Dennis, thank you very much for joining me today. It was a very, very interesting conversation, and I wish you the best of luck here. And I wish you to get those customers by the end of the year. So I think that you're gonna do that pretty well, pretty well. So thank you very much again, and have a good one.
Thank you very much, Mika.
Thank you.